Well, good morning, magandang umaga, and welcome to today's episode of My PI Dream. Today we are going to finish up part 2 of the Techie Geek Day. Remember we did part 1 of the Techie Geek Day when we were doing the, I believe we talked a little bit about the rock speaker, but we had that problem with that amp, that Pile Power amp that went bad, so we had to pause it at that point. But the replacement came in. Amazon sent me a RMA replacement of the failed amp. The new amp came in, I tested it, and it is working just fine. So I have some parts. We are going to install it in an enclosure. We're going to test it out with a new integrated tech solution. We'll see how that works. And we're going to talk a little bit today about copyrights, in particular copyright infringements if you have a YouTube channel, or if you're thinking about having some type of a social media channel where you want to bring in other types of media that might have copyrights on it. So anyway, let's go ahead and get today started. So without further delay, let's get today's video underway. First part of today's episode, we are going to work and try to complete the project that we started a few days back, and that was those modified rock speakers that went from a wireless system to a static system, and it is going to be hooked up to our choice of components, which is a Pile amp that you can put different types of media, and it also has Bluetooth. And we're going to connect up a new Amazon device called the Amazon Input. It's just like the Echo, but it doesn't have a speaker. So we're using the rock speakers to substitute for that speaker system. And you'll see the technical solution that hopefully will work that I put together here just recently. Also, we're going to talk a little bit, like I said, about some copyrights. Well, let's go ahead and get started with our project of the day, which is to enclose all these components in a waterproof enclosure so that we can have this outside accessible. And there's another thing we have to think about. How do you turn this thing on and off? How do I access it if it's inside a waterproof solution? So let's go ahead and take a look at what I have on the table today. All right, now as you can see, this is kind of what our solution is going to be. I have a speaker and a waterproof enclosure. And inside the waterproof enclosure, I have some devices inside here. I have a smart plug. I have a power supply for the Pile amp inside here. I have the Pile amp, and I have a new device here called the Amazon Input. And this is just like the Amazon Echo. It allows you to do voice commands, to be able to select channels, anything for streaming, ask questions, whatever you want to. But this has no speakers built into it where the Amazon Echo actually does and some of the other Amazon products. So all this has is a small output jack right here, output jack and a power jack, and it goes to some inputs into the back here of the Pile amplifier. So this is our input from the Amazon device, and we have a power that's powered via this little plug right here, which has a USB on the other side, which is connected to this, which is connected to the Amazon Input. But we're not going to use this. I'm actually going to get another plug that's a little bit shorter so it fits nice and seamless into this enclosure. The challenge of this whole project right here is none of this. I was able to mount the Pile amp inside the box. The box has a bunch of these little mounting brackets here, and what I'll do in the description block today, I'll put where you can actually buy one of these items right here on Amazon.com, as a matter of fact. And what I did was I mounted the amp. I actually had to drill, I had to drill a hole over here because even though it has a lot of mounts inside there, they don't match up to the holes inside the amp. Also, to be able to fit the mount, the magnetic mount for the Amazon Input, I had to do some modifications of the bracket, and I'll show you that in just a little bit as well. So what we're going to start with today, we're going to start with getting power in here, because the power is the most difficult portion of getting this project put together right here. Once I get the power in, everything else works fine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to work on an IEC adapter, and there's basically two types of power adapters that you can get, and one is called IEC, and it's more the industrial kind of a standard, things that you put into commercial things. It's three straight blades, a common, a line in, which is your main power, and a ground. But instead of the round prongs or the two straight and a round for the ground, it has three straight ones, and it has a little bit of an angle, so the plug that goes inside, especially if it's polarized, will only go in one direction. So I cut out this nifty little hole here. I am going to do some soldering and some heat shrink and bring it over to a wire that connects to a smart plug device, which is going to be this smart plug device, which is basically going to connect to the back of this. And then this, let's see if I can find, oh, it's not here. It's actually in the garage. I'm working on it right now. There's going to be an adapter that goes inside here, a power and a USB adapter that's going to plug into this side of the smart plug. So let's go ahead and grab that, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now, really, to finalize this tech solution, the biggest problem I have here is with power. How do I get power into this waterproof enclosure so it stays waterproof? Well, I need small components inside here because I tried to minimize the amount of space, the footprint that I'm going to have on the wall of the house at Villa Feliz. So what I did was I got this, it's basically like an extension cable that has two outlets and two USB connections on here. But it came with this extensively long, like a 10-foot cable, and I don't need all this extra cable inside here. It's just way too much. I'm trying to minimize the footprint inside the enclosure as well. So what I did, I cut off the long cable, and I cut the end off here and right here, and I soldered them back together again. And I'm in the process of doing the heat shrink, making it nice and clean, and then we're going to mount it inside here. Now when this is installed, this will give me power for the pile adapter, for the amp. It will also give me power for the USB right here that goes to the Alexa device. And then what we'll do is we'll take a small extension. We'll do another cut of the other end of a cable similar to this, but the female side, and we'll run it to an IEC power connector right here, a waterproof IEC connector, and it will be all flush to the outside of this enclosure. And then all we have to do is find a very small, maybe a 1 meter long IEC power cable that plugs in here and goes into the wall. Now that we have power that we can hook up all of our devices to, let's talk about the smart plug. What's the role of the smart plug here and how it's going to control the power to the devices inside the case? Well, anyway, the smart plug, we are going to connect the extension, the little extension adapter that we are modifying here, and it's going to connect just like this right here. Now this smart plug, once it's connected into a AC power source, what this is going to do, this is going to allow me to turn on these two devices inside the case with the door closed. And we don't have to ever open up this this enclosure right here. And we can control the Alexa input device that's installed over here. We can control it by a smart device like an iPhone, an Android phone, or a tablet, or a computer. And we can just start up all the music and any source that we want to go to our rock speakers. We can do it from our smart device via this little Wi-Fi plug that allows it to turn on and turn off. Now this is running on Wi-Fi, the Alexa is working on Wi-Fi, and this also will work on the amp itself, will work both with the input device, which is the Alexa, or a Bluetooth device, or a USB device, or an SD card inside. So it's pretty much a total solution to send music or any type of media to our rock speakers right here. Then you're wondering this end. So what we'll do this end, you know, a plug comes like this. It comes like this, and then at the other end, this is the male end. At the other end is usually a female section that one of these will plug into. What we'll do is we'll cut off a small piece, and we will connect the female section here, and we'll clip off the end that it has the 3 bare wires, and we'll connect it to the IEC connector that we're going to mount to the bulkhead of this case right here. And what we'll do is we'll put a waterproofing sealant around here, and we just have to plug a cable into the bottom that plugs into our wall socket. So that's our solution for this integration right here. I need to go inside the garage, go ahead and finish up this cabling right here, get it all dressed, and then we'll continue putting this all together. All right, I think it's time to test this all out and see if it all works. Now, if you look inside, it looks like a nice clean installation. I was able to hide most of the cabling. I was able to do dressing on the cables. Dressing, when I say dressing, I mean make it look nice and neat. I used a bunch of these little clamps inside here to secure them down to the inside of the case. The excess cables I was able to run like underneath the Alexa Echo input right here. And I don't have a lot of stuff hanging. This one wire right here is one speaker cable. We're going to use this for testing purposes. And there will be two speaker cables going through here, and I'll have to do that later on. We'll go ahead and drill a hole, and we'll probably put a grommet, and it will wrap securely around the speaker wires. So we have the amp, the pile amp inside here, the power supply for the pile amp. The power supply runs underneath all this. It's wrapped around. It goes to the back. It's DC input that goes into the back of the pile. We have the smart plug. The smart plug went in there really nice. Plugged in to the little power strip that also powers the USB port on there, connecting. And you can see I dressed the electrical cable well, and that's something you have to always be careful with, this electrical cable. Everything's nice and clean and secured so it will not bump up or short anything. I've used heat shrink on here. Remember, this will always be closed, so nobody will really be going inside the waterproof housing right here, except if we need to do maintenance or something like that later on. The IEC connector right here, which I just plugged inside, we're going to test it. The Amazon Alexa Echo input right here, and it has a USB connection that's nice and tied up and goes to the little USB power supply on our little power strip over here. Again, remember we tested that on 220, so this provided the 5 volts for the USB. This is providing the power for this, because this is like a 110, 220, 240 volt international type of a power supply. So it looks like everything is in place. So let's go ahead and turn it on. So the first thing we want to do, we're going to act like we are at Little Feliz and we are in the yard somewhere and we want to listen to some music. Our speakers are over by the Baje Cubo or by the garden, and we just will go over to this app on here, which is Smart Life. Click on Smart Life, and then what we're going to do, we're going to click on and turn on, hopefully, this smart Wi-Fi plug. It should start. Oh, I can already see. Oh yeah, I can see it turned on. And when this turned on, it provided power to the power strip, which is providing power to Alexa and the pile amp over here. So what this is trying to do, what the amp is trying to do, if you look here, it says blue, which means Bluetooth. That is the first input it's going to look for, because it doesn't know any other inputs until Alexa actually starts sending an input to the amp. Once it initializes, this will change from Bluetooth, hopefully, and go over to auxiliary. Let's keep an eye on that. And it did, you can see. And I just heard a little click in the speaker, which means Alexa is working. So, Alexa, play NPR in Beaufort, South Carolina.
KQED-FM from JT's TuneIn. Sleep World, featuring the Tempur-Pedic Memorial Day.
And you can hear, we have news coming from our favorite radio station for news in this area. Alexa, turn off music. So it seems like everything is working good. Now just remember that the way this is going to work is this is all going to be closed. This will all be closed. I have the speaker wire over here right now. Remember, we got to run the speaker wire through a little grommet over here, both speaker wires. But let's see, it's pretty much closed. Let's walk off a little bit and see if she will hear my commands from away from the closed enclosure. Alexa, what time is it?
It's 4:08 p.m. Have a good afternoon.
And you too. All right, now that works fantastic. What do you think, Ness?
Awesome, babes. That's wonderful. You did.
Okay, so the next thing here is to basically kind of just clean up my mess. It is a mess out here. And again, I have to still make the hole in the case for the speakers. But this is pretty much 99% complete. What do you think? I think it came out great. I'm really happy with this project for today. And that's going to be about it for today. I know I said I wanted to talk about copyrights, and I still want to talk about copyrights, but I feel it's such an important topic to talk about. We're going to save that for an episode on its own. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, or maybe the day after that, because I don't know if you hear in the background, you hear that buzzing sound? Well, we have a DIY project that we have to do on repairing your refrigerator. We have a fan buzzing noise going on, and I'm sure I know what the problem is, and I'm pretty sure I know the solution to it. So we'll be doing that in maybe tomorrow, because I don't know if I can stand listening to that all night tonight. But that is an upcoming episode that we're going to do on a DIY topic. One of the things I wanted to talk about before I actually close for today was these kind of projects that I do around the house here. These integration type of projects. Anybody can do these kind of things. A lot of times people, they want something and they look on the market and they can't find something that they want to do. But you know, if you use your imagination, you can actually do almost anything with what I was speaking about in the first part one of this episode, commercial off the shelf, COTS, COTS. You can build anything that you want to if it's out there. And a lot of times, even if it's not out there, if you have a good enough imagination and you have a good enough skill or background in things like programming or electrical or plumbing or things like that, you can design your own. The sky is the limit. As long as there is no physical limitation or you know, anything that's to do with physics, you can pretty much build anything that you want. Case in point is this. I want to do something for landscaping kind of music outside. And this is the solution that I came up with here. Remember I wanted a waterproof housing. I wanted it outside, and I wanted to provide music over my smart home network. And this does all those, it fulfills all those requirements. So anyway, that is one of the points of this this channel is if you have something that you want to do on your own and or with the help of someone else, then you can do it yourself. And it's a lot of fun doing these projects. Well, that's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And we are not going to name it Techie Geek Part 2. I think what we're going to do, we're going to name it something about how to build something like what we built today. So that way it's more searchable for those folks who are looking to build something like outdoor entertainment inside their yard. Well, anyway, I hope you did enjoy today's episode. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up. Please share. And if you have not subscribed, just click on that little My PI Dream heart in the bottom right hand side of your screen. You'll be subscribed and you'll be notified the next time I upload a new video. So until such time, you have a wonderful and blessed day.